So AI is popping up everywhere on campus, right? Universities are all in, promising this huge revolution in how we all learn. But there's a pretty big catch. You can build the most incredible AI tool in the world, but it's completely useless if students just don't use it.
And that brings us to the big question we're digging into today. Why is it so darn hard to get students to actually use these powerful AI tools? Well, it turns out the answer has a lot less to do with the technology itself and a whole lot more to do with human psychology. Okay, let's dive right in. To really get to the bottom of this puzzle, a team of researchers did the smartest thing they could. They went straight to the source. They talked to actual university students. This particular study took place in Jordan, and their whole goal was to figure out what's going on inside a student's head when they decide, yep, I'm going to use this AI chatbot, versus, nah, not for me. And the really cool thing is, they didn't just start guessing. They used a solid, proven method to guide their work. See, they weren't starting from scratch. They used a really powerful framework that was already out there, kind of like a blueprint that's been proven to predict how people decide to adopt new technologies. It's called the U-2 model. Now, I know that sounds super academic and a little complicated, but just think of it as a secret decoder ring for human behavior. It helps us understand the subconscious checklist we all run through in our heads before we decide to use something new, whether that's a new app on our phone or an AI learning tool. And this model breaks our decision-making down into 9 specific factors. But to keep things simple, we can just sort them into 2 main buckets. First, there are the logical, practical questions we ask, and then there's the other side of it, the messier, more emotional part, the human element. So let's start with the practical stuff. This is the rational part of our brain doing its thing, weighing the pros and cons, the costs and the benefits. So students are basically asking 4 really logical questions. First up, performance expectancy. That's just a fancy way of asking, will this thing actually help me get better grades? Pretty straightforward. Then there's effort expectancy. How much of a pain is this thing to use? Is it easy, or am I going to waste a ton of time? They also think about facilitating conditions. Do I have what I need to use it? Good Wi-Fi, tech support from the school. And finally, price value. Are the benefits I'm getting out of this really worth all the effort? Makes total sense, right? But here's the thing. We're not just calculating machines. So let's flip over to the other side of the equation, the human element. This is where things get really interesting, because this is all about our feelings, our identity, and what the people around us are doing. And here, 5 more human factors come into play. Social influence is a huge one. What are my friends saying? What do my professors think about this? Then you've got hedonic motivation, which basically just boils down to, is this fun? Do I actually enjoy using it? Habit is another big piece. Can this just naturally fit into my study routine? Our identity plays a part too, through personal innovativeness. Am I the kind of person who likes to try out new tech? And then, maybe the most important one of all, perceived trust. Can I really rely on what this AI tells me? Is it accurate and honest? So, the researchers took this whole 9-part blueprint and applied it to the students. They sent out surveys to see which of these factors actually predicted whether someone would use an AI chatbot. So, what do you think they discovered? To find out, they collected valid responses from 380 university students. That's a really solid data set, which gave them a great foundation to analyze the impact of all 9 of these factors.
And the results were, well, they were fascinating. Every one of the 9 factors was supported. That's right, from how useful it is, to how fun it is, to whether your friends think it's cool, it all matters. This is just a brilliant reminder that when it comes to getting people to use new tech, you can't just focus on one thing. To really succeed, an AI tool has to tick all the boxes. But okay, check this out. Well, everything was important. Some things were way more important than others. The single biggest driver of them all, perceived trust. If students don't believe the AI is reliable and honest, they just won't use it. End of story. Right behind that was social influence. What their friends and professors think is incredibly powerful. And rounding out the top 3 was price value, confirming that, yeah, the benefits have to clearly outweigh the hassle. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Why is this research so important for the future of education? Well, here's the crucial takeaway for anyone building or rolling out these tools. Just being functional is not enough. You have to actively build trust, you have to get buy-in from the entire campus community, and you have to design an experience that's genuinely positive for the student. It's not just about the code.
It's about the whole human experience that surrounds it. What this research really gives us is a clear blueprint for what works. It shows that getting AI adoption right is a really complex puzzle that involves technology, psychology, and sociology. So the only question left is, now that we have the blueprint, who's going to be the first to actually use it and build this thing right?